So if you're trying to keep things interesting on a tune, particularly if you're playing an instrumental version of a tune and you're going through the melody more than once, one of the things you can do to make things more interesting is to change the chord progression behind the original melody, which is also known as adding in chord substitutions. And in this lesson, we'll take a look at how to do that with the 8-bar blues, Trouble in Mind. So if you're playing Trouble in Mind in the key of E, there's really just 3 chords. There's E, and B7, more E, and then A, E, B7, and then E, and maybe some kind of turnaround. So that's the skeleton of the tune, and so what you do with it needs to be related to that in some way, and also needs to stay true to the melody. Like, the basic rule is you can change the chords if they support the melody, but you can't change the melody to accommodate a cool chord. You can do that when you're soloing, when you're improvising, but when you're playing the melody of the tune, the idea is you can mess with the phrasing of the melody, but the actual pitches of the melody are kind of sacred, all things being relative otherwise. So if we've got the melody, we could, the first thing we could do is go to C sharp halfway through the first measure, because it's the 6th chord, it's the relative minor of the 1 chord. So we can substitute C sharp minor for E7, and then we can go chromatically to a C7 to the B7, which the justification for that is that the C7 is a tritone substitution for F sharp, which is the 5 of B7. And I did a lesson recently on turnarounds and tritone substitutions, and also a while back, a whole lesson just on tritone substitutions themselves. And I'll put links to both of those down below. But for now, we've got the 1 and then the 6th chord, and then a tritone substitution leading us to the B7. And then back to the 1. And here we can go to an inversion of E. So instead of just keeping the root in the bass, we can go to the 3rd in the bass, and then go to the 4 chord. And then the melody will fit if we go from 4 to sharp 4 diminished. This is an A sharp diminished chord. It's leading back. It's going to resolve back to E. It's a kind of diminished chord known as a common tone diminished chord, because it's got the E is held in common between both this A sharp chord and the E that we're going to. So you get to hear these half-step resolutions going up like that. And there's the E staying put. And this note here, the open G, is going up as well. So you get to hear these notes going up against the root. And so when you put that underneath the melody, you get that sense of resolution as well. And now this note matches a C sharp 7 chord, which we can put in not because it's the 6 of E, because the 6 is supposed to be minor, but because it's the 5 chord, the dominant chord of this F sharp. You could have C sharp, F sharp, B7 back to E if you were just thinking about the chords, but the melody needs this A natural. So we're going to go to F sharp minor 7 and then to B7. And so we have this. Inversion in the bass, A, and then diminished chord. And here we actually could do the 5th in the bass of the E chord. so that we can climb up to this C sharp, which is the 5 of the 2 chord that occurs in the key of E, F sharp minor, over to the 5 in the key of E. And now there's no melody for the last 2 bars, bar 7 and 8, so it's open season. So we could do almost anything from a really straightforward blues turnaround to the more elaborate tritone substitution turnaround that I talked about in a recent lesson. So we could have just the straight chords, the 1, 4, and 5. Say on the first pass through the tune. And then the next time around, we could start to change things up. So that's one way to change up the chords while staying true to the original melody. And if you have these different ways of playing the chords behind the melody, then you can play the instrumental melody more than one time and not sound like you're playing the same thing over and over, which is a pretty good trick. So Trouble in Mind is a tune that I'm teaching over the next couple of months in my membership, the Fingerstyle 5. So if you're interested in more organized, ongoing lessons to help you develop your repertoire, work on your right hand technique, start to improvise, and learn how to put complete arrangements of tunes together, I recommend checking out the membership at the link below or the link on screen. If you have a question or a comment about today's lesson, please leave it down below. I would love to hear from you. And as ever, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.